Hey, everybody. Craig Cottle, Director of Nature Reliance School. So, a new day has dawned for us here at Nature Reliance School. And that, quite frankly, for me, I've been having some time management issues, and I want to try to figure out how to get a lot of the stuff that I know our followers and supporters are interested in, as well as supporting other organizations and I feel are important for us to help support. And at the same time, manage my time wisely so that a couple things are happening. I'm offering the educational content that I have developed a reputation to be able to do. And secondly, to also continue to develop and actually probably spend more time developing my own skill because it's taken a back seat in the last couple of years because we've gotten quite so busy. A few things that are going on is the podcast has been seeing great growth. Tracy edits all those. He's Tracy Trimble. He's the driving force behind the podcast. You most often hear me, but I can tell you the things that keeps the wheels turning in the background is Tracy. So kudos to him for that. Secondly, my wife's videography skill has gotten exceptionally good as of late in the last few months. And I want to maximize my time with her when we go to the woods to do skills development or educational content. And so, what I thought I would do is start doing some things from the desk. Some of the things that I can do. Typically, I just to go ahead and tell you what I do from a basically selfish perspective is a lot of times I'll do gear reviews and discussions on things that I've been using or I've been seeing students use in class. And I could probably do those from the desk, but I'm from a selfish perspective, I would rather be in the woods doing things. But again, I want to shift my personal focus on the development of our instructional cadre, the people that are going to be assisting and teaching what we teach, as well as teaching in their own right, as well as again, my own skill development and videography skill. And I've got a lot of new stuff coming with that. So with that said, here's a couple of things that I often do in the woods that I'm going to start doing from the desk. Magazine and book reviews. Okay. So Prepper Survival Guide, Backwoods Survival Guide are two magazines that Jim Cobb, as editor in chief, have overseen since, from my understanding, maybe their inception. I think they approached him about it and he did these magazines, and I've been writing for him, for them, ever since that time. So what I like to do is when these come out or they're about to come out, because I get them ahead of time, is like to show you a few of the things that are out there that I think are important. We need to pay attention to. So in Prepper Survival Guide, the first article I want to bring your attention to is the parent's worst nightmare. This is an article that discusses a lot of things as it relates to teaching children, how to get them prepared for being in the outdoors, how to prepare them for loss proofing and stuff of that nature. Number two here is a magazine titled Home Field Advantage. Home Field Advantage is all about how to take care of your personal safety at home. Those that you care about, those are in your home, how to use improvised tools for your defense while you're at home. Third article here is by Dana Benner, No Man is an Island. I'll tell you why I love this subject. We have always emphasized at Nature Reliance School that survival in particular is not a lone wolf type of scenario like we've seen for years. I think that's stupid. Okay. This article goes hand in hand with the way that we like to teach, which is more often than not, survival scenarios happen where other people are involved. And so sometimes that involves other people that are incredibly well trained and well disciplined. Sometimes that includes people that are not disciplined or well trained at all. So I think team development and team communication, leadership skill are all things that are critical, absolute critical survival skills that are just what most people would probably call a soft skill that gets overlooked. So check it out. No Man is an Island. And then the last one is the article that I wrote for this particular magazine. Get to the chopper. I was fortunate to have American Tomahawk sent, I think it was Jim, sent one of their Tomahawks to Jim, and Jim sent it on to me to do a review on. And quite frankly, this is the first time I'd ever done a gear piece review for one solid article. Now, I've done a lot for various magazines where you'll see this knife, this jacket, this, that, this battery, whatever. I've done a lot of those for different magazines over the years. And quite frankly, that's one of the hardest things that I've ever done as a writer. I find it difficulty to kind of gather all that stuff together, and it's just not my cup of tea. So it was interesting that Jim asked me to do this because I'd never done one, and I did enjoy it. And here's how I handled it. And I think you should handle this sort of thing like this all the time when you have the opportunity. I'm fortunate that I teach for a living. So when I have gear pieces, I can put it in the hands of a bunch of different people. Typically, what you'll get from a gear review is that one person that's writing the article, their perspective on it, which a lot of these people are well trained and experienced people. And so they can give you a very experienced perspective. But what I like to do is, hey, put this in the hands of somebody that doesn't have any experience. How do they use it? Do they know? Does it feel right? Do they like it? Do they not like it? Our cognitive biases a lot of time can influence when we're writing an article like this and make it sound the way it's supposed to for us, instead of just getting a broad brush stroke at a bunch of different people, which is exactly what I did. I put it in the hands of our students in a couple of our classes. I used it for several weeks, at least 2 months, 2 to 3 months, during various tasks. And I found that it had some great things about it. It had some things that were just not so great about it. And so I wrote about it. And so that is the last article in the magazine, Prepper Survival Guide. So check it out. It's got the 2022 gear guide. The second one is Backwoods Survival Guide. Several good articles here. And I think the one I was going to point out first is mine. Yeah, this bud's for you. For those that follow us regularly, you know I'm a big fan of tree identification and uses in survival, bushcraft, and disaster readiness and everything in a wilderness scenario. One of the things that often gets overlooked is how to identify trees in the wintertime when there's no leaves. So buds are a great opportunity to do that. Bark is a great opportunity to do that. Geographical location is another way of doing that. There's all sorts of things that you can put together to identify trees without the leaves at all. You don't need the leaves to be able to ID trees. That's what this article is about. So I looked at some of the barks. I talked about the buds. Jennifer did some fantastic photography for this particular magazine, where you get up close and personal look really at some of these buds. And so there's a couple that they picked that were not our photographs that actually are a little bit incorrect, but that's okay. That's the business of doing magazine writing. She took this photo of this hemlock, eastern hemlock. But yeah, it's a great article. I talk about the different things that go along with identifying trees without leaves. Another article, Mushroom Madness. I'm a big fan of mushrooms. Alice Jones Webb did a fantastic article here on not what you would expect, really, on mushroom kits. There's a lot of different organizations out there that sell kits where you can you can buy mushroom kits and plug them yourself and grow them in your backyard. You could live in a neighborhood and you can grow these in your backyard. So it's a fantastic way to go ahead and get some fresh mushrooms for you. I did want to point out, they do have one of these articles where there's all sorts of different tools and things that you can look at. It's one of the things I like about Backwoods. And then the last article is The Perfect Tool. This article is written by Leon Pantaberg. I'm a huge fan of LT Wright knives. They are the company that I chose when I knew that I had a knife design that I wanted somebody to build. LT Wright Knives has built it. That's what the Chamonix is. But I don't pretend that my knife is the greatest knife for everybody that's ever carried a knife. It works great for me, and it works great with people that have the same mindset that I do. But LT Wright has so many knives, you all, so many knives that you can find one that's going to work for you. So Leon does a great job. He looks at several different knives here, several different ways to use them, how to carry them, and any number of things. So it's a great article. So again, checking out Prepper Survival Guide as well as Backwoods Survival Guide. These are two good choices. Why magazines, Craig? Well, because you never know when the grid's going to go down. You can keep 4 or 5 of these in a vehicle whenever you're stuck in traffic or whenever you're stuck on I-95 because a snowstorm has stuck you there. Then you've got something you can read to pass the time. You also got something you can pull apart and use as fire tinder if you need to build a fire right outside the car. So anyway, there's a lot of different reasons that I'm a big fan of magazines. You can always use these as reference material and have them available to you at any time, no matter what's going on, if you have them with you at your house or something of that nature. So check these magazines out. I'll have a link in the description where you're watching this video where you can get them, or you can get on their Facebook group and talk to Jim himself. He's on there all the time sharing information. It's fantastic. He's got a great group on Facebook. And also, we recently did a podcast with Jim where we recorded with him. So I'll make sure I link that here as well. So, as always, with Nature Reliance School, thanks for joining us on this new foray into stuff from the desk. I might come up with some cool name for it too. As always, come on, join in. Let's learn together.